Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. Do us a favor, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the bell for notifications, upvote the video, and comment down below. We would appreciate it. I'm here with Tom Vanderford for his weekly segment on Ole Miss football, Ole Miss recruiting, and I guess we're going to talk about Pete Golding today because Pete is everywhere.
He's on fire, man. He is a wonderful recruiter, and he's doing double duty. You know, he's filling holes in the portal, and he's making huge strides with the high school kids. We've got a legit shot at the top 5 high school kids in the state. You know, we've got a legit shot at Franklin. You know, I think we'll get all the other 4. I don't know. Harold's flippable, I think, the Tennessee commit. But I just saw today where somebody crystal balled Burnside to Ole Miss.
Yeah, I think it was right David Johnson in 247, yeah.
Yeah, so, hey, we're doing it on both sides of the ball, I think. It wouldn't be surprised to me if he hasn't talked one of these receiver recruits into playing corner. I don't know that for a fact, but we sure are looking good on a lot of players. What I'm impressed with him the most is the defensive line. I mean, he is getting defensive line recruits like we haven't got since, you know, Kim Dichie and those guys, you know. It's very, very impressive. And I love the shark emoji thing on Twitter. I love it.
Yeah.
But,
we went
through right. Yeah, we went through a phase when, you know, the land sharks were dead, man. I mean, it was, you know, we went through a phase where it was just over, and he's bringing that back. And I hope to see some of this year.
Yeah,
you know, I hope to see more of that, and I think we're going to have a well-coached defense this year. But I'm really looking forward to the future of this defense. He's not playing, man. He's patching holes for now, and he's also building for the future at the same time. It's amazing.
You know, one thing I put on Twitter was, you've seen all this and Pete Golding has been extremely active in the transfer portal. And he's all over defensive line. He's all over defensive back, but not one linebacker in this summer portal, which tells me that room's probably better off than the internet experts like myself have any idea about. And Suntarian Perkins could be the dude. He's the one coming in as reinforcements, and he's going to play quite a bit. But I think it's kind of interesting that Pete Golding is kind of ignoring the linebacker position at the moment.
Yeah, I think it is too. I think we've got some really good depth for running 2 linebackers. I mean, we really do. And even if one of them ends up being a Husky type or whatever they call it in this defense, you know, I think Suntarian would be a perfect fit for that. But he needs help in the defensive backfield, and obviously he wants enough depth on the defensive line and the defensive backfield where he can do a lot of substituting. You know, when we go against these high-powered offenses, I love the James Madison kid, Ekwu. Mm-hmm. Look at his tape, and he's like, oh my gosh, he reminds me of Marquise Haynes. You know, he's fast off the ball. He's a good, you know, so I like that kind of player, and it's been a while since we've had that. You know, we're going to be better on defense than we have been in the Lane Kiffin era, in my opinion. The offense is going to be, whether people want to gripe about it or not, it's true. It's going to be another top 10 offense. Mm-hmm. As long as Lane Kiffin's at Ole Miss, we're going to have a top 10 offense. That's just how it goes, how it rolls. But I'm really excited about the defense and the coaching and the recruiting.
Yes, and also today, ESPN released the time. I think it's 6:30 Central or something for the Ole Miss State game, Thanksgiving night. And on this show, as you all know, if y'all have made it to this point, I talked about how I have a soft spot for Thanksgiving and the Egg Bowl just because of when I was in the Navy and how that was instrumental. Because 99 to 2003, actually the spring of 2004, but all of those football seasons, I was in the Navy. So it was really those AFN games, those special games. That was a chance for me to see Ole Miss football. So that shapes my view of it. I realize that several people are against it. What are your thoughts on the fact that A, the game is on Thanksgiving at least one more time, and B, I don't know if that is going to last past next season?
Well, my personal thoughts are, I've been to lots of Thanksgiving Ole Miss games. I was actually at Eli Manning's last Ole Miss game down in Starkville in 2003, I think it was. But it's a neat thing, but at the same time, Thanksgiving's such a big holiday, and it's a lot easier to go on Saturday if you've got to, like me. When I was a kid, we went to the grandparents and ate, and then we could split and do whatever we want to. Well, now, we're the grandparents, so everybody comes to our house now. So it for me personally, it'd be a lot easier to go on Saturday. But I must admit, my tummy's full. I'm laid back, and I'm watching Ole Miss football. It's not a bad gig. Either way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where if it goes away, I mean, heck, 2014, that epic Egg Bowl, that was a Saturday game. The Stuart Patridge game was a Saturday game. It doesn't necessarily matter competitively if the game's on Thursday or Saturday. Like I said, I just have a soft spot because of my time in the Navy. Now, let's change gears back a little bit. Who do you think will be next in recruiting? We saw a shark emoji this morning. Who do you think is the next one?
Oh, I so want it to be Franklin or Waller. They've got him. Waller's basically crystal ball dust, but I'd like to see a commit. I hope it's one of those two guys.
Yeah, I think those two are going to be signing day type signings. The one I'm waiting on every time I see the shark emoji or anything with commitments is Caleb Odom, the tight end out of Georgia. I should say, big wide receiver. He's the guy I'm waiting on at the moment. But I think this shark emoji is probably for one of the two defensive back transfers that came on campus for a visit over the past 3 or 4 days.
Oh, the kid from Tulane, has he visited yet?
Yeah, he has. And I think he's at North Carolina now, which makes me think that's not him. But I think there might also be a kid from UCF that is in the portal that is visiting at the moment. So we'll see exactly how that goes. If they get another cornerback, this is interesting to me. If they just keep getting cornerbacks, it's almost like Mike Bianco in shortstops. That he's in the defensive backfield. They're just going to sign cornerbacks and they're going to move them around the defensive backfield to do whatever. But they need to make sure they can cover first.
Well, exactly. But I'm not one that's going to question what Pete Golding's doing. I'm not going to question what Lane Kiffin's doing in recruiting because both of them are proven commodities in that area. I've got some Alabama friends that are like, "Good luck, y'all got Pete Golding. Good luck." Hey, I'll take a top 10 defense every year. I've got no problem with Pete Golding. So
I'll be honest. If we can have a top 10 defense with the offense that Lane Kiffin has, I hate to break it to everybody, but Ole Miss is going to be in the playoff every year.
Exactly. And I think his goal. I think that's Kiffin's goal. I think he's kind of realized that Oxford's a pretty good place to be. You know, he put a tweet out the other day that his daughter talked him into staying, and then she talked him into singing metal at her party. So, and you know, she's going to be a rebel. So, you know, kids have a lot of pull with parents.
You know, it's interesting to me that Lane Kiffin was a Les Paul guy. I don't know if I saw him as a Les Paul guy with his axe when he's out there playing Nothing But a Good Time by Poison.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah,
that was awesome, and it gives another reason to like the guy. I mean, you know, sometimes he's kind of socially awkward, but you know, other times he's a peculiar person. But you got to love the guy. I love the guy.
Well, he's a 1 in a million person, and I can respect that a little bit because I'm a little bit the same way. That I just genuinely do not care what other people think, one way or another. I'm going to do, you know, I'm going to do what I want to do 9 times out of 10, regardless. And Lane's the same way, whether it's running the football program or handling his kids and things like that. That 1 in a million is going to happen, and he's just an interesting personality. A friend of mine named Kartik Krishnaiyer, who is in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, let me know that either FIU or FAU or the University of Miami, I forget which South Florida university it is, and it might be FAU just because Lane was there, but they teach a class on social media with Lane Kiffin, like Lane Kiffin's social media. They teach how to social based off of that. That's how good he is at doing that. And I think that's pretty cool.
He's wonderful at it. Mm-hmm. By the way, speaking of social media, congrats on the Lane Kiffin retweet.
Thank you. Yeah, that video got 2,000 extra views because of that share.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. It basically meant that I could do my Egg Bowl video and not worry about the view count because those views have already been bagged. Because me talking about the Thanksgiving Egg Bowl, I'd have no idea how today's video is going to go.
Right, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, it's a hot button off thing, but it might be a situation where a small minority is just really loud that might be interested in that, and everybody else just doesn't care when that game is. So we'll see what it does. But I put Deuce on the cover from the 2000 Egg Bowl, the Romero to Deuce game. Yeah, and titled it "Last Thanksgiving?" ? Yes. I'm trying to be as clickbaity as possible.
Hey, do whatever it takes, buddy.
Yeah, I always tell people, whenever people say we're not a clickbait site, yes, you are. If you're not, you're out of business. Everybody's a clickbait site. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. Every day is tomorrow on the show. We'll have, let's say, Derek Vandegrift or Kara McCutcheon. Either we'll be talking about a postmortem on Ole Miss's baseball season, or Kara McCutcheon will come by to talk about social media, in which somebody from Texas A&M referred to Ole Miss as broke. So we talked about that today as well. So anyway, thank you, Tom, so much for stopping by, and I will see you next week, buddy.
Yes, sir. Hotty toddy.
Hotty toddy.